Film is a critical industry in every society, creating jobs and entertainment. Every country wants their own homegrown movie industry. And it's not just America and India which are making profits. Smaller countries like New Zealand and Brazil have created successful local film industries which are making significant contributions to their GDP. In the United Arab Emirates, the Abu Dhabi government has set up Image Nation to attract big movies into the region and to actively invest them and spend the profits helping to support their own local film industry, creating jobs for the local Emirati population and nurturing the young country's cultural identity. Here to tell us about it is Image Nation CEO Michael Garin. Michael, welcome to INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you very much.
Since its inception in 2008, Image Nation has been involved in some blockbuster movies. We're talking about Contagion, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, there's award winners like The Help, and Bollywood hits like My Name is Khan. How do you decide on which projects to invest your money, and are you swayed by the fact that you're in a conservative Muslim country? Are there taboo subjects?
Well, with respect to our international productions, our choice really has to do more with our partners than the films. We have tried to pick best-of-breed partners who have long experience and track record in producing successful films. And then really the responsibility for both the film selection and the film production lies primarily with those partners. Participant Films, Hyde Park Entertainment, Parks McDonald. These are companies and individuals with very long track records. So that's really the way that we've moved forward in this area. We don't make individual film selections for the international films. We do participate in the process, but we rely very heavily on our partners' judgment.
Sorry I'm late.
We didn't ever think you'd leave Ole Miss.
It does take 4 years, Jolene. I got a job today, writing for the Jackson Journal.
Great. You can write my obituary. Charlotte Phelan, dead. Her daughter, still single.
Does this dress look handmade?
I reckon when you finish it won't.
Thank you.
She look like the winning horse at the Kentucky Derby.
It's the opposite process with local production. There we operate like a traditional film studio. We develop projects, we encourage the development of talent because our resources in terms of human capital are very limited. We've learned that we have to develop them before they're ready to develop pictures. So we're developing people before we're developing movies.
Is there any time though where you might actively say, no, we can't touch that? That's
we
a
have
bit
done
too
that.
sensitive.
But basically, it has more to do with the way that people and the region are represented. As you know, in Hollywood and in many places, filmmakers use stereotypes. And typically, people from our region tend to be the villains rather than the heroes. And there's a certain line when the projects cross, then we say this is not for us. And fortunately, our partners have always respected that. And so I think we've had a positive impact on the way that characters are represented, themes are dealt with, or pictures may not be made, or at least not be made by our partners. And yeah, it's been a very happy relationship in that regard.
The Abu Dhabi government has contributed significant funds. I think one report put it at $1 billion over 5 years. What sort of return are they expecting on their investments?
Well, first of all, don't believe everything you read in the papers. The return is both financial and cultural, social, economic development contributions to our society. The tradition of storytelling here in our region is an oral tradition. There really isn't a filmmaking tradition as there is in so many countries around the world. So we are really starting from a very low base, almost non-existent, to help establish the foundations of an industry here. And as I said earlier, we have to develop people before we can develop movies. There's certainly less than 5 people in the UAE who are qualified to make full-length feature films. This is a very, very interesting challenge for us because we're really building an industry from scratch. Most other countries have had the basis of an industry for years and years, and they may try to be broadening it. But here, we have to build it before we can even aspire to broaden it.
By linking yourselves with the blockbuster, the Hollywood movies, are you able to provide experience for local people to come and work along in the teams?
Absolutely. I think the only reason really for these partnerships is for the technology and knowledge transfer that they enable. For each of these films, we're able to send filmmakers to shadow directors and cinematographers and other crafts that they are interested in. We're able to have the benefit of the experience of our partners, also their input into the development of our projects. And so it's fine to go to film school. I'm very positive about that experience. But this is an industry where on-the-job training is absolutely critical. And so we're able to provide that at a very high level in a way that without these partnerships wouldn't have been possible.
Image Nation's mission goes much further than just making profits, as we just spoke about. Its mandate is to help grow the economic and culture future of Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
How do you plan to do this with film?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to understand the two divisions of Image Nation, the international division and our local operations. The international division really has to stand on a pure commercial footing. The amount of capital that we've dedicated to these international productions are of a sufficient level that they demand a financial return on that investment. The dividend from those investments is the ability to train and develop our young talent. With our local production, it's very different. There are very few theaters in our region, just approximately 200, and that's not sufficient to justify financially the investment in local production. Therefore, it's absolutely necessary for us to take the profits of our international productions and use them to subsidize the investments that we make into local production. And it's not just local production that we need to subsidize, but it's the education and training and development programs that we're particularly proud of that are somewhat unique in the world to help build this industry and provide the skills necessary to one day have a self-sustaining business. But that's, I think, realistically, maybe a decade away.
At this stage, though, is it balancing itself out? Is the profits enough to sustain the local industry? Or?
Well, happily, actually, the profits exceed our investment in local terms. So we're very successful both financially and we're very successful both in our training and development. Somebody once said, I'd rather be lucky than smart. And so, this year we've been very lucky because the same judgments that were made to produce The Help and Contagion and Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, also the year before went in to make other films that were far less successful. And so one of the important things to understand about our industry, this is more to do with Hollywood than to do with Abu Dhabi and the UAE, is that this is an industry that goes in creative cycles. The reason the studios have been around for 100 years is that they have a film library, the cash flows of which sustain them during their creative troughs. But companies like Miramax and New Line Cinema and DreamWorks have suffered greatly because they don't have that source of continuing cash flow from their libraries because they don't really have libraries to take them through the periods when their films aren't working the way that they had hoped. And so this is a unique business in that sense, where it's very hard for independent companies to create a sustaining presence.
عمي شو اخباره؟
الحمد لله بخير.
وانتي شو اخبارك؟ كيف تعرف انك تحب؟ كل شيء فيك يتجمل الا قلبك. حس السلب كم؟
70 درهم.
ببيع السيكل. صدقني امك بتذبحك.
Well, your first local film, Sea Shadow, has had a lot of hype. It's come out to great reviews. Has that proven to be profitable?
No, far from it. We were very happy to recoup all the costs of our prints and advertising, but we didn't recoup anything from our actual production investment, and nor did we expect to. I think what we need to do here, our challenge, is to take the money that we're investing in the films and invest them as professionally as possible so that we don't waste money making films. We don't have budgets that are bigger than what they should be. When you see Sea Shadow, as audiences around the world now are beginning to see, principally not in movie theaters but in film festivals, it's very gratifying because here's a very local film shot completely in Arabic with subtitles about a coming of age of young teenagers and the challenges that they face. And yet when it's seen in Europe or the United States or in Latin America, it's very gratifying to see the audiences laugh in the right places, to be touched in the right places, and to really walk out of the theater saying, wow, I can't believe that this was made in an Arabic country. It was a great film. Sea Shadow played longer in the theaters, stayed longer in the theaters than most American movies do. But virtually 100% of the audience that came to see it were other Emiratis. Our challenge is to teach the expats who live here and then people around the world that if they go see a film that's made in Abu Dhabi or the UAE, they're in for a great entertainment experience.
The UAE is looking to and working very hard to diversify its economy away from oil. Do you see the local film industry developing to such an extent that it can make some significant contribution to the GDP or to creating jobs for the Emiratis?
I think that we make a very significant contribution, but it's much more subtle in the sense that we have a wellspring of young people, as I think is true in many places all over the world, who are drawn by the media industry and want to become filmmakers and want to be involved in the creation of film and television. And so these are some of our most creative and talented people. And as the leadership well understands now, if we don't provide these opportunities for these young, talented Emiratis, they're not going to lose their passion, we're going to lose them. We'll lose them to the economy. And these are, as I said, some of the most talented people. We have a very small population here. We can't afford to lose these people. And so the ability for them to contribute to the growth of the society, to the culture, to the politics, to the economics, and to the vitality of life here transcends the absolute number of jobs that these people represent.
Do you have a figure on how many jobs have been created?
Well, I would say actually very few. What we are creating are really people who have the potential of creating jobs.
Do you see the local industry developing to such an extent that it becomes known as the Bollywood of the Middle East? Do you think that the Gulf?
Unfortunately, I don't. In fact, it's really interesting because one of the challenges that we've had here at Image Nation is to try to set the expectations properly for what we can accomplish. There's a region that wants to have the tallest building in the world and does. It has two of the world's greatest airlines in Etihad and in Emirates Airways. And so it's very important to explain why we're never going to be Hollywood or never going to be Bollywood for the Arabic world. We just don't have the critical mass of population to be able to do that. New Zealand would be our great aspiration. If we could be anywhere close to that in 10 years, my tenure would be an unbelievable success.
Michael, thanks for being with us on
Yeah, it's my pleasure.